It was a robust set of results and investors are clearly happy with the dividend payout. But in terms of flagging the uncertainty for the business going into the next period, and in particular, if this lasts beyond the first quarter, what kind of impact do you see and what kind of impact do you see on investor returns if the coronavirus issue isn't contained shortly?
So Heidi, I'll just start with the current impact that we've seen on the business, and it's been relatively muted. So clearly, tragic impacts in terms of people, but demand's holding up. We're shipping all of our product. Prices have held up in part because of other supply side disruptions, and we haven't seen any issues with receiving payments. Now, as long as things are contained within this quarter, we think they'll hold up through the remainder of the financial year. If not, then we'd have to revise our forecasts. But so far, we remain reasonably confident about the outlook for the remainder of the half calendar year.
Mike, I want to get to iron ore in particular, given how key it is for your business. I'm throwing up this chart for the benefit of our viewers, looking at the collapse in Chinese iron ore imports, in fact, to a record low, or at least as far back as 2015, where this data set began. Given that almost 50% of your revenue in the first half was thanks to iron ore, is there a concern for a deterioration in pricing as well as output?
So if we look at iron ore inventories in China, they aren't at unreasonable or unhealthy levels currently, and there's more inventory capacity there, so they can absorb more inventory. At the same time as we've seen a bit of weakness in steel demand in China, we have had other supply side disruptions. So we had a cyclone come through Western Australia. There's been disruptions elsewhere in the world, and of course we always have to keep in mind that the coronavirus is also impacting domestic supply of iron ore and domestic supply of metallurgical coal. And that's helped to give some strength or resilience to the market through this period of disruption and a bit of uncertainty.
So you have said that BHP actually needs more copper, needs more nickel as well. Do you believe that you'll have support for, say, major multi-billion M&As in terms of these assets, alongside just not smaller exploration or early stage deals?
So my strong first preference is to be securing some of these options and keeping in mind that we have some options within the existing portfolio. But my first preference is to be securing these options through exploration and early stage entry. We've had some past success in that regard. It's certainly been an area of success for our petroleum business. I'd like to see more of that in copper and nickel as well.
What about transitioning away from your dependence on China, given not only the outbreak of the coronavirus now, but given just the slowing economic growth that we continue to see in China? What are the key markets that you're looking at, and how do you plan to deal with the slowing economy there?
So we've been speaking for many years now about how we see the Chinese economy unfolding over time. And one of the great things about BHP's portfolio is that we have exposure to different markets, different points in the economic development cycle that gives us a degree of resilience and creates new opportunities for us. We'll certainly continue with that. And of course, I'd like to strengthen that further through securing more of these options in future-facing commodities. That will allow us to continue to benefit from China's continued economic development. But of course, we're seeing other parts of the world develop as well, and we have good exposure both to early stage economic development as well as through mid-cycle and late cycle economies.
Mike, there seems to be a dwindling pool of buyers and interested buyers for thermal coal operations. Do you feel like BHP might have missed the window of opportunity to get the right price for its operations, or is that something that you see being completed in 2020?
So we've been clear on thermal coal. And I'll just start by saying it's such a small part of the portfolio. So we own and operate one mine. We have a 1/3 stake in another mine, and that's it. That coupled then with our outlook for thermal coal, and we run lots of different scenarios around all of our commodities, and we think that the scenarios are biased towards the downside for thermal coal over the long run. So if somebody presented us with the opportunity to exit for value, we'd entertain that. But it's, as I said, this isn't a big part of the BHP portfolio.
Climate and emissions really top of mind, particularly after the summer that's been here in Australia. There's criticism that the $400 million climate investment program is too little from BHP. Is there any indication that you would look to extend that and set out new, more ambitious emissions reduction targets this year?
It's important that we keep the $400 million climate investment program in perspective or in context. It's one small part of BHP's overall effort related to climate change. We've been clear, we've had a clear policy, we've been strong advocates for action on climate change, and we've been putting our money and our effort where our mouths have been in reducing our own Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions footprint. And it was only in this past half that we've announced that we'll move to fully renewable power in Chile. That's going to reduce our Chilean operational emissions footprint by 60% and BHP's overall emissions footprint by 15%. And this continues many, many years of clear action, tangible action, and reduction in BHP's Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions. Now, the $400 million investment program, that's on top of those efforts. It's on top of prior investments that we've made in new technologies, working with customers, and we'll be doing more on that front. We will come back later in the year with specific Scope 3 goals and with updated Scope 1 and Scope 2 science-based targets.
And also later this year, investors are expecting you to refresh your executive team. What are the guiding factors for you in recruiting that team, and will it come from outside the company?
So I have the luxury as a new CEO of starting with a business that is in good shape, strong foundations, and with a team that's high performing and coming together well. To the extent that there's changes to be made, those will be announced in due course. I have spoken today about one new role that I'll be creating that's going to be focused on driving or supporting the team in driving both technical and operational excellence. An announcement on that individual will be made in due course, and we'll be, looking at both internal and external candidates.
Right. Just before we let you go, just an update on your oil unit. What value do you see there as offering a mining company, and do you intend to carry out any new revisions of that division?
So we like the commodity. We've got great assets in good jurisdictions. I've worked on both sides of the business, and so there's been things that I've brought across from the petroleum side of the business into the minerals side of the business around understanding of geoscience, performance management, some of our safety-related practices, and likewise, we've taken some practices from the minerals side of the business back into petroleum. And this is one part of an overall strong portfolio. It's this portfolio that's allowing us to drive great value and great returns for shareholders, particularly when coupled with this strong operational performance in the first half. Now, I think there's still plenty to go, plenty of gas in the tank, and I am very focused on achieving exceptional performance in this business. And like I said, more to go. And of course, on the portfolio front, we'll be looking to create a portfolio that's fit for future.
As you settle into this new role, there's investor expectations that you'll possibly refresh the executive team as well. Would you be open or looking to bring in some outside perspectives here?
I want exceptional talent for this team. We already have great people in place. To the extent that we are bringing new people into roles like this senior role I spoke about, that's going to help with technical and operational performance, we'll look at both. We want the best talent in this team because that's what we're going to need to unlock the true potential of this company.